No pressure here, Claire, from Claire. Claire, let's start with China.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer meeting with Xi Jinping. I mean, let's be honest. Xi Jinping's going to run rings round. President for life, tyrannical, murderous dictator, Xi Jinping, who for some reason has the red carpet rolled out for him as if he's a normal person. But nevertheless, the controller of the second biggest military in the world and the second biggest economy has basically our economy, our governments, our universities, our institutions, frankly, over a barrel right now. And bad things are happening to us as a result of that. There's going to be a one-on-one meeting. Question I'm asking our audience, should Britain be cozying up to China? Yes or no?
I don't think this is going to be cozying up. You can't imagine Keir Starmer being cosy with anybody, can you?
Least of all his wife.
I think this is going to be one of those meetings that's just, we're going to have this chat and we're going to look as if we're being very serious. If I was Keir Starmer, I would be going after President Xi for human rights abuses, what's happening to the Uyghurs, what's happening to Hong Kong nationals, the appalling treatment of Hong Kong nationals, and even in this country, they're being surveilled. So I think that those questions need to be asked. Now, whether they will or whether they'll be listened to is a whole other thing, but I don't think we can afford to ignore President Xi.
No, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Because, you know, we don't get to choose who other countries either elect or are bullied into keeping as presidents for life. Don't get any ideas, Keir, my love, don't get any ideas. Don't get any ideas, Trump, also. But you know, you have to deal with the world as it is. And it's like, you know, people say, oh, we shouldn't have any dealings with Saudi Arabia. No, Saudi Arabia is another horrible, tyrannical, murderous regime. What's the option? You know, the mad mullahs, or absolute full-on civil war there, or all these, you know, all these absolute kleptomaniac, princes. Well, you know, kleptocratic. Yeah. You take the least worst option. There's very rarely a Tory Lib Dem, coalition option. And I'm just saying, you know, those are the deals we get. But I just don't see any of our political leaders properly standing up to China because goodness me, I mean, David Cameron and George Osborne were absolutely shocking in terms of, you know, for want of a better phrase, kowtowing to China. They bought up our universities. Oh, we give a load of money for this university. Yeah. Oh, well, then could we not criticise China? Could we not criticise China? Because that's all just a bit, oh, would you mind just, you know, shh, because we won't get any funding. They completely got us over a barrel on net zero because while we sign up to the madness, they're busy. We're building wind turbines and solar panel farms. Of course we are. We're also building a new coal-fired power station every week, which is how we are producing cheap, abundant, secure energy to be able to make things cheaply to sell to the West, ruining our economy, you know, I mean, the madness of that. They bought up pretty much every rare earth mineral in the world. They can switch that stuff off anytime tomorrow. They're clearly threatening Taiwan. You know, what they're doing, even down to things like, you know, the worries about the Chagos Islands and the madness of giving those away to the Mauritians, who are completely in hock to the Chinese, as are most of the Caribbean nations, many African nations. You know, while we're operating on not even a 4-year electoral cycle, but a 24-hour day media cycle in our government, they're operating on a 40-year cycle. In China, not even a 10-year plan, 40 years. They have long-term ambitions, and those ambitions are very bad. And if you don't want, you know, the horrible colonial West in charge of things, I hate to tell you, the other option's even worse, guys. I think this man is genuinely terrifying, and he speaks softly, and he's Mr. Lovely, but he's not. He's a murderer. He is no better or worse than Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at also the access they had into security systems, cameras, 5G network in the United Kingdom, we gave them those contracts. We said, yes, come and put your cameras up and it'll all be fine.
Yeah, brilliant idea.
Clearly not. And I think you have to
But how could anybody involved in our security or our government and on that side of things ever thought that was a good idea, unless, frankly, they were in hock to China?
Well,
I'm sorry, it's not possible to think that was a good idea.
No, I think anybody can tell you that. I'm no expert in foreign policy, and even I can see that. So you would assume that the people around David Cameron and George Osborne would have had the same view, but clearly
just
not.
Saying. Apologies, everybody. Right, try to lose the cough. Let's also talk about other foreign policy, Ukraine. And again, all of this does impact us. It impacts the cost of our cost of living, our standard of living, our freedoms, our anything extra we have to spend on defence. impacts what we can spend on schools and hospitals and transport. So it's really important to remember that when we talk about foreign policy. But Joe Biden has authorised Ukraine to use long-range missiles inside Russia. These missiles that they have not been allowed to use until now. And again, this is clearly not just because we've seen Starmer and Macron managing to charm Biden. No, he didn't announce this before the presidential election, and now he's announcing it. Now, there's some talk that this could hasten the end of the war. Even Zelensky said Trump's arrival could hasten the end of the war. Realistically, with Trump, there are probably going to be some sort of negotiations to end the war. Yeah. At that point, you need Ukraine to be in the strongest possible position. I would support Ukraine not doing that if that's what they don't want to do. I think people should, they've got a right of self-determination, but holding on to Russian territory, the ability to hit a Russian supply lines and things is absolutely vital. Do you think it was right, and do you think that we should approve our missiles for use there as well?
See, this is a really difficult one because all of the arguments had been against us allowing the Storm Shadow missiles to be used because this would invoke World War III, which everybody seems to think is being invoked at the moment anyway. Yeah. So I think that we do need to bring an end to this. This does nothing for the stability of Europe or the UK, but also for the people of Ukraine. Why should they be bombed on a daily basis? Why should they have to give away their territory to somebody who's just fancy
Well, we say bring an end to it. The best way of bringing an end to it is defeating Russia and pushing them back to Russian borders and saying, here you go, you want to try again? The whole of NATO is going to be behind Ukraine. That's what we should do, instead of giving them just enough to survive but not enough to win. We could defeat... There's no way in the world Western forces couldn't defeat Russian forces. I mean, they're so depleted.
It's interesting as to what the red lines are going to be, because we keep being told that this is going to cross Putin's red line. Well, there have been hundreds of those.
Putin crossed our red line. I mean, I'm sorry.
Exactly, when he came in and just took the territory that he wanted.
Well, we shall see. Now, the Russians have already said this is, ramping up tensions. No, you cross the border. That's what ramped up tensions. We tried that appeasement thing, 1930s. Do you remember that? Didn't turn out so well, guys. Didn't turn out so well. Read the room. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, if you want to get in touch on that, by the way, as well. 0344 499 1000. Just some breaking news, by the way. The Metropolitan Police have just announced that two police constables, Jerome Beasley and Luke Robinson, have both been charged with 4 counts of sexual assault against a woman in central London in April while off duty. Again, we're seeing more and more of these people being sacked, but also actual prosecutions of police officers in the wake of charges being, brought against them, allegations made against them. Of course, this hasn't gone to court yet, but I think a lot of this is to be welcomed, isn't it? That we're actually seeing where there is suspected wrongdoing, and again, only suspected at this current time, that there is a proper investigation and actions are taken and things aren't covered up.
Yeah, and without doubt, these people, if they are guilty, need to be taken and dealt with
and shouldn't be police officers.
And shouldn't be police officers. But it highlights that these things happen with such regularity. It's really quite frightening.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it doesn't seem to be unusual that there are allegations of this sort, does it? Let's also talk about migrants, often in the news. And we've got Labour apparently planning a sort of following in the wakes of, the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni-style migrant deals with the likes of Vietnam, Iraq, Kurdistan and others. And the idea is, as she has done with
Libya.
She's done Tunisia. Albania as well. Yeah. She's paying them to take them, but actually doing a deal saying, look, you need to take these people back and basically stop them coming in the first place. Do you think any of this is likely to work?
Looking at the list of countries that Starmer has picked, no, I don't hold out an awful lot of hope.
I'd rather not stay in Vietnam. Lovely place for a holiday. Wouldn't want to live there.
But also the numbers arriving from Vietnam, I think the last figures I saw were just under 1,100. Yeah. Which, given the sort of 30-odd thousand across the channel, that's a very small percentage. And how are you going to suggest that these people spend that money? How are you going to measure the outcomes against it? They can just turn around and say, yeah, we've stopped 80% of crossings.
Well, it's about sort of providing the border security at those countries, but
is that money going to go? If you're just handing it over, how can you be sure that it's going to be spent that way?
And yes, I mean, you having worked as an advisor in the Home Office, probably rather more aware of this than most people. Let's also talk about farmers. We have farmers doing major protests outside Westminster on Tuesday. Lots of calls from the National Farmers Union that these protests are legal, and obviously, all protests need to be legal, but there is a right to peaceful protest, and particularly when it's about lobbying MPs over the budget. Again, farmers were told that they wouldn't be facing inheritance tax. They're now facing 20% inheritance tax. And you think, oh, over farms worth more than £1 million. Do you think, well, goodness me, you've got that sort of asset. The trouble is, this isn't how far... if you've got £1 million farm, it doesn't mean you're rich in a weird sort of way. It's a lot of land, but people are kind of living, you know, rather meagre lives and working, you know, 7-day weeks, 365 days of the year. As we've seen, you know, Jeremy Clarkson, you see what happens on his farm, and you see the life that people have, and how quickly, you know, things can tip over if you've got, you know, one bad summer and that's it. You know, all your savings are gone overnight and you're dealing with everything. But there are going to be protests. I think they're going to get an awful lot of public support. Although it was interesting this morning, you could already see someone pointing out on my Twitter feed, you know, The Guardian already trying to frame these as horrible far-right people. These nasty people demonstrating. These are just sort of ordinary people doing very vital work. But we've had, haven't we, politicians saying, you know, we don't need... John McTernan, he was on... There are rival channels. He was on a TV show last week saying, no, we don't need... Like, we should take them on like we took on the miners when Thatcher was in. We don't need farmers. I hate to tell you, mate, we absolutely do. They're the most vital workers in the country.
And it's so many industries. And I'm sure... I know John McTernan, and I was so surprised when he came out with that. Does he not have milk? Does he not like some bread every now and again? Because those things will go. If you're not going to have dairy cattle, you're not going to have wheat.
Let's have a little blockade around John McTernan's house for food deliveries, and then we'll see what he thinks about farmers. I'm just saying. Yeah, by the way, so COVID, the lockdown, if the farmers weren't allowed to go and work and the bin men weren't allowed to go and work, I'm telling you right now, and the coffee, people serving coffee deliveries, trust me, that lockdown would have been over in 3 days. Anyway, 10:18 is the time. Up next, we're going to talk to Rupert Lowe, a Reform UK MP, about, well, an awful lot of these foreign affairs, but also Nigel Farage saying that actually they are going to go ahead with that private prosecution of 2 brothers who attacked 3 police officers at Manchester Airport in the summer. Why have they not been prosecuted yet? We'll find out about that up next. Stay tuned. This is Talk.